we can focus on filling the gaps, realizing the knowledge that's missing, and doing the research that's necessary to fill them. We can engage with partners to test the models, to stress test them in service, and try and figure out how they can actually really meet the needs of those on the ground. Now we have this minimum viable product. And to advance in our participation and collaboration, engaging farmers at every stage of the development process, and bringing these things to the communities that need them. So thank you very much. I hope that was a brief, sufficient detail to understand the value of what we're doing. I'm now going to hand over to Mamoon. From AI71.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Elliot. Hi, everyone. Great to be here today. I'm Mamoun Alaoui. I'm a product manager at AI71, and I lead the AgriLLM project, which is an initiative we launched around a year ago in collaboration with CGIAR, the Gates Foundation, the Presidential Court of the UAE, as well as EMBRAPA and multiple other organizations. And so essentially the origin of the projects come from the following observation. Today, as Elliot mentioned, there's a clear information gap in the agriculture space. And I think there is more than 75% of smallholder farmers today who do not have access to reliable extension services, according to a recent study from the FAO. And at the same time, we're witnessing a tremendous increase in the performances of AI models, as well as in terms of availability. So in this context, we've decided to launch the AgriLLM initiative, which primary goal is to help bridge this agricultural information gap by empowering the members of the agriculture community with a set of AI tools and models. And essentially, this translates into three sub-goals. The first one is to develop and open source the first general purpose agriculture-specific LLM. Again, to empower this community with an agri-specific LLM that serves as a foundation to build downstream use cases and applications. So that's number one. Number two is to produce an agriculture-specific evaluation benchmark to provide a common point of reference for any AI innovator in the agriculture space to build and evaluate their models. So that's number two. And finally, the third sub-goal of the AgriLLM project is to develop an AI assistant for agriculture to kind of augment the foundation LLM that we're building, and to make agriculture knowledge accessible, reliable, contextualized for farmers as well as other personas in the space. So that's what AgriLLM is about. And now we're doing this project actually with, again, as I mentioned, with multiple entities and organizations worldwide, such as CGIAR, the Gates Foundation, the Presidential Court of the United Arab Emirates, EMBRAPA, IFAD, the World Bank, and more than 15 other organizations. And actually the goals, the goal of these partnerships are first to provide data to train the models, but also second, to provide the expertise to help us kind of adapt the tool to the specific needs of the farmers and to the different personas. And beyond just collaborations between entities and organizations, we also have collaborations with existing projects and initiatives. So earlier, Elliot mentioned different existing initiatives. And so the goal of the AgriLLM is to kind of augment and complement these initiatives and collaborate with these different projects. So I can cite many examples, such as the Farmer.chat initiative by Digital Green, the GAI initiative that Elliot was mentioning previously, the Guardian initiative, which aims to centralize the data at CGIAR. And again, the goal of these initiatives are for us to, again, get access to data, to domain expertise, but also connections to local networks, to scale and test the models in real life. And on the other way, on the other hand, sorry, on our side, we provide this agriculture specific AI model, and we also provide support like R&D and technical support. So again, just to stress on this message of collaboration between these different initiatives. So now I'll maybe give you a sense of how we're doing it. So the project is structured around 4 key work streams. The first one is data collections. So we've collected more than 200,000 pairs of question answers with the help of CGIARs and other entity. The second step is fine-tuning and evaluation to actually build these agriculture-specific models. The third step is building the AI assistant based on the fine-tuned LLM, but also on a set of techniques to retrieve relevant context from existing agriculture documents provided by the partners. And finally, the last step is, of course, testing with real users to collect feedback and iterate on the development. Maybe also just a few words on the approach, just to say that as part of this initiative, we're not only relying on the train model, but we also kind of augment it with an access to knowledge bases of documents that were selected by the partners to kind of ground the responses in verified and actual agriculture knowledge. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Now, just a few words also about the first results and the journey so far. So in terms of data collection, as I mentioned, we have successfully collected more than 200,000 pairs of question answers, which will be open sourced as a public good to the community to let anyone in the space train their own AI models. So I think that's one of the, I would say, most important parts of the project. Second, regarding the fine-tuning, we've successfully fine-tuned multiple LLMs, and currently the highest performing one outperforms the baseline models by more than 20% in terms of accuracy. So that's also a huge win, because it means that we're actually reducing the hallucinations of existing models and pipelines. And finally, in terms of the AI assistant itself, we've built an AI assistant that combines both the fine-tuned model with these knowledge bases that I mentioned earlier, and that provides crop and region-specific responses, again, to adapt to the context, to the specific context of farmers and other personas. So the results will be shared in early December, but again, like I can share a few words about the performances. So basically, the AgriLLM is safer to use as it reduces hallucinations. Second, it's better suited for reuse to build downstream use cases because it's better at selecting the context to be used to generate the responses. And finally, it also produces a language that is more adapted to the needs of farmers, and that's more like easier to leverage as than compared with baseline models. In terms of the AI assistant itself, again, as I mentioned, it's providing crop and region-aware responses. So we make sure to adapt to the country of the farmer, as well as the crop and topics he's interested in. Second, as I mentioned, we ground the responses in existing knowledge bases. And again, all these documents are provided by the partners. So it also kind of helps build the confidence in the model. And finally, our model is also multilingual. So it's not only English, and you can use it in more than 100 dialects and languages. Now, maybe just a quick demo to walk you through the tool. So maybe the important thing to notice here is that we've built multiple assistants for different user personas. smallholder farmers, researchers, extension agents, and policymakers. And you can actually select the user persona, the agents for your specific user persona, and get a response that is, again, tailored to your needs in terms of content, but also in terms of language that is used by the AI assistant. So that's what you can see here on the screen, and you will soon be able to interact with this agent to test and for us also to collect feedback. And just maybe a quick example, because that's a question that I often get. What's the main difference between what we do between our AI assistant and ChatGPT and other, I would say, like general purpose models? So I'd say that our model, as you can see here in the slide, provides responses that are more straight to the point, more concise, and with less hallucination. So as you can see, for the same question, the response that's provided by ChatGPT is much longer and contains much more hallucinations, whereas the one provided by our model is, again, more straight to the point and is actually, again, grounded in the knowledge provided by the partners. So maybe just a few words to conclude. Again, as I mentioned, we're launching we're open sourcing the LLM early December. So again, if you want to collaborate, feel free to get in touch with us. You can also just follow the progress of the project. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to schedule a short session to go over it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, Mamoon. That was a wonderful presentation. You did fantastically. I'd now like to invite Moon to stick around. Please take a seat. We've also got Kate Kamaruch. That's also Katia, right? From AI71. She's the she's the Director Client Solutions to Strategic Partnerships. And we've also got Marcelo Behar in the audience. Please come take a seat for us. He is the Senior Advisor at Ambition Loop. We're sadly missing Sylvia from EMBRAPA. She couldn't make it today due to a number of difficulties, but we're all still here today and we're going to have a nice time. Do you still have your mic, Moon? So I'm going to start with a few questions, and maybe we could start by hearing from Marcelo, because we haven't heard anything from you yet. And the first thing I have here, well, do you have any immediate reflections on the presentation and your thoughts for AgriLLM?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. So first of all, my pleasure to be here. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Marcelo Behar. I am the Special Envoy for Bioeconomy for COP30, and I'm also one of the co-founders of Ambition Loop. And I've been in this project, I think, since the beginning, right? When we put together the dots between AI, EMBRAPA, and COP. So trying to connect small agricultures with the knowledge and the capacity that AI has to provide them a guidance and different tools for learning, and make taking all the knowledge that is normally inside those institutions that they cannot access, which is not only great for sharing knowledge, but beyond that, to make sure that we have the best capacity available and democratized, let's say, but also connecting the dots with climate, which I think is what brings us here, right? So what we've been trying to build here in bioeconomy, we have 5 different streamlines: one for forests, one for agriculture, one for communities and traditional communities, one for biotechnology, and one for finance. Here we are on the agricultural pillar, let's say, and it's really important that instruments like this will be connected to the climate agenda, because the only way that we can progress is if we bring not only the knowledge on how to produce better and how to become more efficient, but above all, how to become more resilient for small agriculture, because they will be the ones who will suffer the most with the climate agenda, and they are the ones that can also get the most if we get the right premises in place for carbon, for biodiversity, and if we can reward them for what they're doing, and if we can help via artificial intelligence for them to understand that they can rotate from a model that is old, that it's mostly based on chemicals, mostly based on a technology that was very important for the 20th century, for the rural expansion, but nowadays bioinputs will play more and more a role, and bioinputs are far more complex than traditional fertilizers. So that's the reason why I think we are so positive about this initiative, because moving forward, this will allow, once now we're just starting, but what I can see is that with the constant use, only artificial intelligence will give the right answers for farmers who are moving for bioinput. So this is far more complex than just placing an X number of fertilizers into an X number of hectares, because now you have the interaction between species, you have other capacities that we do need artificial intelligence to play a central role. What we see in terms of, just speaking on the three Rio conventions, when you compare them, you have the Climate COP, where we are on the 3rd edition, we have the Biodiversity COP, and we have the Desertification COP. And the Desertification COP shows that we have 1,500,000,000 of hectares to be recovered. That's the big global number. Only in Brazil, we have 128 million hectares, and for agriculture, 42 million hectares that are able to receive a new way of producing, etc. So combining the elements of artificial intelligence to recover those areas with the financial instruments in place will be a way to move forward without causing any deforestation. So for climate, this is pivotal, this is super important, super glad to be with you today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Marcelo. That was a really beautifully put explanation of how this kind of AI interacts with the climate work and the behavior change that has to be introduced among farmers. I think before I want to move to Kate, but I just wanted to ask quickly if Ambition Loop were doing anything else around IoT, Internet of Things technologies and sensors to kind of create the infrastructure for learning about bio inputs.
So Ambition Loop is doing a lot. We have a partnership not only with EMBRAPA, but also with other partners here in Brazil. We have Folio Institute, who's putting together a big initiative with researchers and university. There is a whole campus only for bio inputs here in the state of São Paulo. It's called Lagoa do Sino, and there is a lot of research and material that is coming out of this initiative that already has 5 years. So this will be inputted in the system as well. And I think this will create the results that not only will forecast what has been already done in traditional agriculture, but also what is being used in the newer ways of producing in the new agriculture. I think partnerships like this are the ones that are crafting the agricultural producing for the 21st century.
Wonderful. Let's talk about this after, please. I'm interested because the comparison with somewhere like Kenya, where I've done most of my work so far, I think is great to what you're talking about here in Brazil. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself a bit and tell us about your perspective on AgriLLM?
I can correct my name pronunciation to start with.
Please, yeah.
So my name is Kate Kamarchuk. I'm a Client Solutions Director from AI71. Been in AgriLLM from its very inception, from the idea. It's a fascinating project. And then, got lucky enough to pull in Mamoun to lead it from the technical angle. I think what makes this initiative stand out, and I talk about it a lot, is how beautifully different parts of the ecosystem came together to make a difference. And when I say that, I mean, we have a strong ecosystem of the partnerships from international organizations that bring in a lot of domain expertise, that bring in a lot of a huge body of knowledge that they've amassed through the research, CG, EMBRAPA, multiple others. Then we have strong governmental support from the UAE side and from the presidential court standpoint that gives this, the push that this global initiative needs, and let's be, very transparent funding as well. But then you have also AI71 coming in as the commercial technology partner, right? So we have other things we're doing, but then that allows us to bring that cutting edge technology and the knowledge and the learning from just, a commercial AI sector to the initiative that benefits the greater community. So I think it's a very well structured partnership that makes use of the better parts of what our organizations have to offer, which is very unique to the to this domain, I guess, because it's very unusual even for COP, like us being just a technology company that does a million different things. We are very, I think, rare species here in this ecosystem. But I think that's what makes it beautiful, because we all contribute the parts that we are best at to this project, and that's what makes a difference. Stay away.
No, it's that one.
I'm not sure if it's me or...
Keep going.
No, I mean, I guess that's my my main point on the AgriLLM side. It's interesting to see though that there's obviously the topic is important. We've been moving around COP, seeing lots of initiatives. Trying to address the similar problems, right? So it's just a testament to how relevant the challenge is, you know, to this information gap. I haven't seen yet anything that focuses on it as holistically as this initiative does. So there's lots of local initiatives trying to address a specific, you know, challenge in Colombia, for example, or some other countries. I think the beauty also of the AgriLLM is a bit more global take on it, because we were able to bring in the huge partners, but the local contributions will need to follow, because that's where the greatest benefit of the data is. That's where the partnership like EMBRAPA come in very handy, because that's what will make the advice to those users in those countries the most localized, the most precise, and the most relevant.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think you put that wonderfully. I think the governance structures and the partnerships building together is really great. And AgriLLM is really coming in at this space where it's trying to be a global focus that can be then decentralized. But at the moment, we're seeing people, the space very quickly becoming saturated and too many tools being built. I think, interestingly, most of my topics have been covered by what you said. Maybe I could ask Mamoon, I'd really like to hear from you what your reflections have been on the building of the tool with the partnerships and the process of working together, and how you found that as a technical lead, working with people who don't know what, like researchers who might find to be very difficult contributors to the work.
No, actually, I think it was the collaboration with the research part, like with the research entities and the different partners, was super valuable, because it brought us two things. Brought us first, of course, like the data, and I think we it was some kind of back and forth process to kind of figure out what's the best process to like collect this data, how to make sure that the data is reliable, and I think we learned a lot from this experience. Also, I think for the CG centers, it was very interesting to learn how to like what's the best data to be collected as part of the training of AI models, how to double check this data and to verify it. So I think on this side it was successful. And then the other thing that all these partnerships brought was, of course, the expertise to kind of again craft the instructions for the different AI models and tools. And also kind of help us identify the right use cases. And so this is how we build the kind of roadmap and set of use cases for AgriLLM. So yeah, I'd say like these two main areas were super useful for us. I think the collaboration went pretty smoothly. So it was super interesting interacting with all these different partners. And yeah, and looking forward to the next steps. I think we still have multiple milestones ahead, more data collection, and also one of the main one that is coming in the next few weeks is the testing on the ground. And for this, we'll need also this collaboration with our partners. I think it will be key to distribute this tool to farmers.
Wonderful, thanks, Mamoon. I'd like to say from the CG perspective, it's also been a pleasure to work with the A71. I think it was more difficult in the beginning when it didn't seem very tangible, but now we have this product that we can play with and share. It's going to be much more exciting going forward. And I think as people became more involved, it really became quite exciting. So we have learnings that we're now sharing with other organizations so that they can participate further as well. And it's become kind of a bonding experience on all fronts. Can I move back to Marcelo then? I'd like to hear something more about what you think for the specific context within Brazil. It's a massive place. You have a huge number of community-based organizations. How do you see engaging them moving forward with AI tools, and how you could facilitate that kind of discussion?
So I think the engagement with AI tools from the agricultural community will be exponential. I think it's we saw the numbers; they're super low, but I think it's a matter of getting used to it. Once people start sharing this on their WhatsApp groups, it will go like fire. And the thing is, there is a lot of resistance. People are used to do what they know how to do, but once the solutions are proven and someone sees that, well, why is your farming performing so better? Well, because I saw something that I understood that you can correct this input, or that you can you can rotate the crop in a different way. When the learnings are tangible, then it will spread rapidly, I'm sure. What I think this can be also useful, not now in the current mode, but this is how this will start, right? Sharing knowledge of things that are already researched and that the knowledge is already available. But in the near future, once the mechanism is established, I hope that this will also help farmers to better understand the connectivity between how they are producing and the climate effects that it has. So, and I think this will mature at the same time as the carbon markets regime and the capacity that we'll have to move voluntary carbon markets and new projects for small landholders as well. So this will allow them not only to produce better, but to have an extra line that will come out of something that nowadays they are living on the ground. They have zero for that. And there is a lot of expectations, I think, for both from them and from the climate community to use agriculture as a tool to decarbonize as much as we are using the forest process. So I think the transition of land use is becoming more and more one of the main components of the COP agenda. And bioeconomy is the one that connects all those dimensions. So how can we bring agriculture into the climate game? And in order to do that, it won't be in the traditional and old way of setting meetings with institutions. It will be more digital. It will be more. So hopefully this is one of the first elements for this reality to come true. Reason why we are super excited about the instrument, about the partnership, the capacity that AI 71 had to put it together, connecting to Gates Foundation, to all the partners who are mobilizing for that. So EMBRAPA, I think, plays a major role. EMBRAPA is a reference in Brazil. It created the agricultural revolution. Brazil is a powerhouse thanks to EMBRAPA. And now EMBRAPA is engaged, so they will be the ones also not only feeding the instrument and feeding with the data, but also communicating to farmers, listen, if you want to have the best solutions on your hand, there is now a new instrument, please make use out of it. So I think we'll benefit from the EMBRAPA partnership. And probably Brazil will just be the pilot, one of the many pilots. As you said before, I think in Africa, this will expand also very rapidly, Southeast Asia as well. They're all on the same page. Traditional agriculture has more in common than differences between those areas. The geographical denominations, the political denominations are just for us. Nature doesn't really care a lot about those borders. So I think this will actually spread around and will be very useful too.
Wonderful. I mean, another fantastic answer. You want to add to it? Go on.
I have a comment and a question to you, just to flip the script a little bit, because Marcela touched on a few things that keep coming up in multiple conversations that we're having around the initiative, which is one, building the trust around this type of systems, and how do we get people to adopt those, and then the second one is the meeting the users where they are, right? As in finding the right channels to actually access those users and get that advice in a consumable way. So be it depending on the channel, in some countries, and UAE is very similar to Brazil in that sense. We're very WhatsApp operating community, like to the top levels of the government. It's a little bit ridiculous, but then in some other areas it can be SMS and so on. But I think that's one of the parts where we can leverage also partners' expertise in terms of determining those channels. What are the best ways to reach users in those specific areas? Because for us, that's not necessarily the knowledge that the organization has, but we can help develop the tools to reach those users. And when it comes to the trust building and having those initial successful cases and rooting in the community where there's a few champions who tried it, that added value for them, and they become your advocate and saying, yeah, I managed to increase my output by X because I was using this advisory service and it helped me a lot. And that's where my question actually comes to you, because you have a lot of exposure with different initiatives. If you have any examples from your previous projects, for example, of where this was done in a nice way, and where you had a good positive cases that actually ended up contributing to initiative adoption.
Yeah, it's actually a topic I'm doing quite a lot of work in. My kind of PhD thesis is actually driven down into this, because there's quite a few different ways of looking at it. In that, most of the work I've done is in Kenya, and there's a real strong attitude of reciprocity. So they feel obliged to share the information they've learned with everybody else around them. They have really strong communities, and they're actually quite flexible. So the people who may not be the community leaders can then take a stronger role in using that knowledge. But then they also sort of feel that they're not being compensated by the organizations very much, which can then lead to some kind of tensions there. I actually think the best way to do it is to incrementally scaling, like you said, but doing it with community groups. So not just thought leaders, but actual big areas where we can bring everyone from all different levels of society in to learn about and share their experience. And I think we're going to do something next year with Digital Green, where we're comparing influences, digital nudging, and community groups as different pathways for scaling. And so we'll learn more then and see what's best, I hope. Now I want to ask you a question. Going back to what you mentioned earlier, the numbers are low. And I think the numbers aren't low because of the adoption and scaling. The numbers are low because they've hit the roof of what Digital Green can afford to deliver. The costs of inference and of the infrastructure through which they can deliver these services is limited, because they're also kind of an incubator for all these other ideas. And I think what I was going to pass over to Kate, from your perspective, what at COP would you like to tell to the policy level people that needs to be done to create this infrastructure to facilitate AI's pathway forward?
There are multiple angles to it, but that's actually a fantastic question, because we have been focused in the year of this initiative very much so on the delivery, on the getting the model right, getting the assistant right, making sure that we get the correct, the relevant answers, and so on and so forth. So the thinking around the sustainability and longevity of this project has been a little bit on the back burner, if I'm being completely transparent. But this is a huge important factor to actually longevity of this initiatives and being able to make the real impact. So there's a few angles to it. There's, first of all, institutional players need to come in those in the countries where we are planning to operate, because that's something that is supposed to empower your entire population, and there needs to be a balance and support from the local policymakers and local organizations. I think there's something we can do also from the technology side of things, and maybe towards down the line, as the models become stronger and stronger and more capable, move towards smaller sized models that optimize a little bit the inference cost and so on and so forth. So that's the second part of something we can look into, optimizing the resources usage underlying powering some of the answers. There's another part that I think we will try to bring in as a technology partner, is the hyperscalers and the support that they can offer as part of their more sustainability focused efforts and so on and so forth. So we had a few conversations with both AWS and Google within the COP framework in terms of what role they can play, what they can bring to the table and offer to in these cases. But I think this also is a powerful partnership to unlock moving forward, to see what kind of resources they can offer in what capacity to be able to power these type of solutions for the global south.
I got wonderful. I've actually got a question from Amun, I think. So sorry for putting you both on the spot, but these questions have come up through the event, and I think it's quite important. From your perspective, well, I'm hearing a lot from farmers that they need something that they can use offline, which I think for these large language models is kind of hopeless, right? It's kind of, we're not going to be able to, you can't do that without connectivity. But what's the technical need for a small language model or something that can be operated locally? And what does that mean to do that?
So to be fully transparent, I think it's pretty challenging, because it means basically installing these models on the edge devices of the farmers. So that could be feasible, but from a technical standpoint, I think a better approach would be, as Kate mentioned earlier, to kind of integrate these models with existing messaging services. So for instance, being able to send SMS to the model and get responses. WhatsApp could also be an option, even though it's a 3-quarters connection. But the way I see it is, instead of trying to reduce the model sizes and put it in the devices of farmers, I think a more scalable way would be to, be able to connect it to the tools they're already using and the messaging services they're using, and provide the responses through these mediums. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, I think one thing we always forget is radio, which is massive in most of these places, and I've been asked about it a lot of times. We're already doing a project with Farm Radio International on this, but not necessarily with the feedback systems yet, and that would be interesting to work about.
And usually also in those areas, you don't necessarily have the latest and greatest devices. So even if we get a fantastic small scale model that can operate on the edge device, it requires a smartphone.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, you just will not have that.
No, I know. I just keep hearing about it, and I had no idea. So thanks for enlightening me. We have a few minutes left. Marcelo, any final reflections or thoughts you might want to add?
No, thank you so much for the discussion, the connections. I think the final reflection is on how can we connect the dots really between what we're doing here, AI, agriculture, climate. I think that's the triangle we're trying to create and to operate. I think smalllandholders are central for the transition, and I think the instrument is brilliant connecting them to that. I think we're just starting. Is the first mode is really working on their efficiency, getting to know all the knowledge that is already in silos nowadays. It's a silo breaker. So we came out with a solution that can take out all those articles that have been written for the last 30, 40 years, no one really has access to, and breaking that into a language that everyone understands. But the next step will be connecting that to the climate targets we all need to reach. So if we are able to do that in a way that smalllandholders can not only be more efficient, but also can get access to resources that will come from the climate agenda, home run. That's what we're aiming for. That's what events like this are all about. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thanks, Marcelo. Kate?
Thank you, Marcelo. That was actually a fantastic point. I think for us, the reflection also a bit more rooted in COP, and what we learned here is that there is lots of fragmented initiatives that are trying to address similar challenges across the globe, across different organizations. So there's lots of learnings to bring back and see how we can enhance the ecosystem even further. But I think what reinforced our approach towards making access open, especially to the model and to the data source that we haven't actually seen around that much, is very differentiating this initiative about, the whole democratizing the access to the technology versus, creating a very specific tool and giving access to a few controlled people. So I think that's more of a invitation to other people to do the same, because that's what actually really powers the communities that are going to benefit from it, and that's what also gives you the right feedback loop from those people. I'm just trying to still figure out what the level of distance is right here. But yeah, thank you, Elliot.
Thank you. Yeah, one last minute then. Please go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, just to double down on what Kate was saying, I think what we're bringing with AgriLLM is the foundation to, again, build applications based on this agri-specific model. And we're also bringing, the kind of infrastructure and platform to connect different initiatives. And I think the way to go will be for entities at the local scale to, build their own applications, build their own use cases, leveraging this model, but again, using their local data, using their local tools, and then distributing these tools to the farmers. So again, I think we're building the infrastructure, we're building the foundation layer, and then it's up to all these partners, all these entities to take it from there, and build their own models.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful discussion, and it's 10 o'clock. Happy? Hey! Thanks, guys. Should we have a photo?